Hey everyone, hope you all are well. So the first thing I'm doing as always is priming the eye area. I'm using the Urban Decay Primer Potion and I'm adding a few swipes of the product to the lid first with the applicator, and now I'm using a synthetic brush, this one's from Wet n Wild, and I'm using this to really then buff that primer into the skin. And adding a primer will just make sure that your shadows grip to the eye, they last all day, and that they blend nice and smoothly. Today I'm using the Urban Decay Born to Run palette again, and the first shadow I'm taking is called Riff. Now Riff is a gorgeous warm orangey brown that has a matte finish to it, and this type of eyeshadow is a staple in your collection in my opinion, just because it can be used in so many ways. You could use it as a transition shade like I have done today, but it can be paired with any lid colour that you want. It also then looks great as a wash over the eye and into the crease as well. It's just a really versatile shade. But as you can see now, I'm just starting to build up a couple of light layers of this shadow. I've just built them up until I was happy with the intensity and the blend. In terms of blending then, I've pulled the shadow outwards at an angle. I've winged it out towards the tail of my brow, just so that I have a nice elongated shape to the eyes. So what I do is when I have less product on my brush, little to no product, I raise my brush higher up towards the brow bone, and this just ensures that I get a nice gradient effect. And as you can see then, of course, winging it out towards the tail of my brow. Then I'm taking a small bullet shaped brush, this one's from Vanity Planet, and I'm using that to smudge the Riff shade down along the lower lash line. And I felt like my eyes were going to water, so that's why I'm blinking repeatedly. It looks weird, but it just stops my eyes from leaking and ruining the makeup. But once I've coated the lower lash line from outer to inner corner and connected it up on that outer edge, I'm then taking the shade Punk. Now Punk is a lovely deep warm toned matte brown, and I'm using this on a Sigma blending brush, and I'm just pressing it and lightly sweeping it down on the outer corner of the eye, bringing it from the lash line up to the lid and then onto the crease. Initially I've just kept it to that outer portion of the eye first, and then again, like when I've little to no product left on my brush, and then fading it across the crease and right into that inner corner. As always then, I'm going in with a second layer and I'm repeating the steps. So smoking it at that lash line first, and then I'm raising my brush up a little bit higher onto the lid, and finally then across into the crease. And I'm just making sure to flick my brush slightly upwards and outwards on that outer edge. I really want that shadow just to fade out to nothing, the closer to the brow bone that we get. Then I'm going to switch back to that bullet shaped brush, and I'm sweeping that down all the way along the lower lash line. Next then, I'm taking the shade Wanderlust, which is that lovely metallic green shade. I've picked it up on a Blank Canvas Cosmetics flat C-shaped brush. I've then sprayed my brush with some of the Urban Decay All Nighter setting spray, the glow version, just to help further emphasise those shimmery particles, and then I'm tapping it down across the lid. Once I've gotten that first layer down, I'm going back in with the blending brush and just going over the crease area and going over that area where the lid and crease shade meet. Just make sure that they blend nicely into one another. Then I'm going back in then with a second layer of that Wanderlust shade, and this time I'm applying it dry and I'm just patting it across the lid once more. Next then, I'm taking our Royal and Linical tapered blending brush, and I've picked up some of this shade Jet, which is a shimmery black, and I'm adding this to the outer portion of the eye just to add a nice bit of depth to that area. So in the same way that I applied the brown, I just started with the lash line, then swept up to the crease, and then eventually out towards the tail of the brow. To line the eyes then, I'm taking this angled brush from Vanity Planet with just a bit more of that Jet shade, and I'm lining all the way across the upper lash line. And this will add depth here, and it'll also help to conceal the band of lashes that I'm about to apply. The lashes that I'll be adding are called Bauble from the Eyelure, and they do have a thick band which can be quite hard to disguise, so that's why this step's important. Then what I do to the top, I'm doing to the bottom, so I'm patting some of that black down there too. But to prevent it from looking too harsh, I'm then smudging a little more of that Punk shade right underneath, just to help it blend a little bit better. And then I'm taking this chocolate brown retractable pencil liner from KBD Beauty. I'm just sweeping this back and forth inside the eye, and you can also close your eye around the pencil as a quick way of coating both the top and bottom waterline. But finishing touches then, I'm taking some of the shade Stranded, and this is a gorgeous golden shade. I'm using a small bullet shaped brush from Wet n Wild, and I'm adding this very lightly around the tear duct of the eye just to add a little bit of sparkle to that area. Obviously I've added my lashes as you can see, and then to blend my own lashes in with the false ones, I'm using the Urban Decay Lash Freak Mascara, and firstly I'm beginning by coating those lower lashes before I do the top. But then that's it. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial and found it helpful. To me, it just reminds me of just really nice, it's just a nice autumnal look. It can also be used around sea time. I don't know if it's too early to mention that word. I know it's my favourite time of year. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you all really soon.